Chair Muser, it is 4:30. If you'd like to call the meeting to order, unless you would like to wait.
Okay, welcome everybody. It's 4:30 and I'm calling the meeting of the City of Santa Rosa Cultural Heritage Board to order. Ms. Camp, if we could have a roll call.
Thank you, Chair. Board Member Boren.
Here.
Board Member Carney, looks like he's absent. Board Member Fennell, absent. Board Member Klein.
Here.
Board Member Marsland.
Here.
I'm sorry. Board Member Garrett.
Here.
And Chair Muser.
Here.
Let the record reflect that we have all board members here with the exception of Vice Chair Carney and Board Member Fennell.
I think Board Member Fennell is coming down the stairs.
Chair Muser, can you turn your microphone on? Your microphone?
There we go. Item 2, remote participation under AB 2449. We have none. Item 3, approval of minutes. So draft minutes from June 19th, 2024. Any?
Oh, excuse me. The recording secretary, can you just let the record reflect that Board Member Fennell is present? Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, let the record reflect that Board Member Fennell arrived at 4:32 p.m. Thank you.
Item 3, approval of minutes from June 19th, 2024. Are there any additions, changes to the minutes? Seeing none, leave them as approved. Okay, public comments. We are now taking public comments under item 4, non-agenda items. This is the time when any person may address the board on matters not listed on this agenda, but which are within the subject matter jurisdiction of this committee. Recording Secretary, could you please provide instructions to the public?
Thank you. If you are in chambers and wish to make a comment, please make your way to the podium. You will have 3 minutes for your comment, and a countdown timer will alert you at the conclusion of that period. And it looks like we have Mr. Dwayne DeWitt for our public comment today.
Thank you. May I start? Thank you. My name is Dwayne DeWitt. I'm from Roseland. That's a spot that many people think is an historic area. And I've been glad to come here and speak with folks before. I'm here today because I wanted to double check on possibilities for the future. The reason why is in the 7 years since the city of Santa Rosa has annexed Roseland, there's been dramatic destruction of houses, new buildings coming up, the neighborhoods being changed in many ways. One of the things that we'd like to see is the undertaking and updating of an historic inventory. There are a number of Victorian-style houses over there. Most folks don't realize Roseland was around longer than the junior college district, longer than Montgomery Village. So we'd like to see some sort of an effort to help us understand how we might be able to have designation of landmarks and preservation districts. One of the things that I'd like to see happen, and you might think it's unusual, but this is happening in other countries, and that's the designation of historic neighborhoods. That's where neighborhoods that have wooded areas nearby go out of their way to save them by designating them as neighborhoods. This idea comes from England and Scotland, places that have been around longer than the United States in some ways. And in London specifically, they have some neighborhoods. I studied there and learned about these, and I thought, this would be perfect for the last bits of nature that are in Roseland along Roseland Creek. Developers see woodland as an obstacle. We actually see it as a good spot for youngsters to understand that nature was there before pavement and asphalt, concrete, and cars. And then also, most folks don't realize that when World War II happened and Billy Montgomery was killed on the USS Arizona, and then Montgomery District came together in his honor, there was a man from Roseland also killed on the same ship, the USS Arizona. His name was George Mabee, and he was over right next to what's now called South Davis Park. And we'd like to see some recognition of this fine gentleman. Gave his life for his country 83 years ago, and go about some way of renaming the park. We haven't been able to understand how the Recreation and Parks Department does the naming of parks, and they've never explained to us what their updated policy might be. We've seen some in action, and then mostly inaction. So, landmarks in Roseland, thank you kindly.
Thank you, Mr. DeWitt. Item 5, board business. I'll read our statement of purpose. The principal duties of the board include undertaking and updating historic inventories or surveys, recommending designation of landmarks and preservation districts, reviewing proposed alterations to historic buildings, and promoting public awareness of preservation issues. Item 5.2, board member reports. Do we have any board member reports? Okay, well, I have one. I'm going to read this, and then I also have some copies that I can give out to the other board members if they'd like. On March 5th, 2024, the mayor and the city council passed resolution 2024-033, which updated the city of Santa Rosa's current fee schedule. The changes to the fee schedule came from a study conducted by MGT Consulting. As part of this study, MGT Consulting conducted stakeholder outreach. The Cultural Heritage Board, as well as property owners in the historic neighborhoods, were never contacted regarding this study and the potential fee increases that would negatively impact historic buildings and preservation districts. Without input from the Cultural Heritage Board and owners of homes in historic neighborhoods, the proposed changes to the fees associated with receiving a minor or major landmark alteration permit were made without a greater understanding of the catastrophic effects these changes would have on historic neighborhoods. As an example, in order to receive a major landmark alteration permit, there are certain actions with their associated fees the applicant must take and pay. The 4 primary actions in their pre-July 1st, 2024, and the post-July 1st, 2024 are as follows. A neighborhood meeting previous was $1,202. As of July 1st, it's now $2,085. Concept review was no charge previously. It's now $605. Meeting with the Cultural Heritage Board previously was $533. It's now $1,219. A major landmark alteration permit was $999. It is now $17,762. Okay, I'll also note that a minor landmark alteration permit required for such things as a backyard accessory structure, backyard decks, landscaping, went from $409 to $8,830. And keep in mind, these fees do not include the building permit fee or other fees that might be included, such as encroachment permit fees. So should a homeowner of one of the historic districts apply for a permit to repair their front porch, and they want to replace the original wood porch floor planking due to rot with concrete and brick, this would trigger the requirements for a major landmark alteration permit. Pre-July 1st, 2024, their fees would total $2,734. Today, the fees associated with the same landmark alteration permit are now $21,671. Keep in mind that a homeowner living outside a historic neighborhood would not pay any of these fees and could immediately move forward to get their building permit. I believe the effects of these new fee policies will be catastrophic for historic neighborhoods. These effects will manifest themselves in several ways, which may include but not be limited to: 1, homeowners will no longer get permits and gamble on not getting caught. This generally has an unfortunate outcome, as it means changes are being made without the benefit of inspections or historical review, and should a homeowner get caught, it just adds more cost. 2, homeowners will not remodel or repair their property because they can't afford the permit. 3, homeowners will no longer wish to live in historic districts, and new home buyers will avoid buying in a historic district. And 4, historic neighborhoods will seek to remove their historic designation. As a member and chairman of the Cultural Heritage Board, I believe the overall process conducted by MGT Consulting was flawed, as it failed to analyze the negative outcomes associated with the extreme fee increases for landmark alteration permits. I'm extremely disappointed the City Council approved these changes. I've enjoyed working with my fellow board members and city staff. However, I feel I can better serve in the preservation of Santa Rosa's historic properties by working directly with homeowners of historic properties. I truly believe in Santa Rosa's historic preservation and will continue my preservation efforts. However, I feel I cannot perform my job as chairman nor be a member of the Cultural Heritage Board if I don't believe in the policies that guide historic preservation and their associated fees. Therefore, tomorrow, July 18th, 2024, I will resign as both Cultural Heritage Board Chairman and member in protest of these fees related to landmark alteration permits. And unfortunately, we can't discuss this, we can't comment, that's just my report. So seeing no other board member reports, we'll move on to a statement of abstentions. Oh no, we'll move on to department reports. I don't believe, Dwayne, you can
You
Dwayne
can have
comment?
public comment.
Okay.
Yes, in
All yours,
response to
Dwayne.
your report. Thank you. Go ahead, Mr. DeWitt.
Thank you kindly. My name is Dwayne DeWitt. I'm from Roseland. I wanted to thank the chair for his volunteerism, as well as all of you for your volunteerism on an unpaid position, trying to do the best you can in a city such as ours that's rapidly urbanizing and changing, probably not for the better in the future. So I appreciate your stipulation of conscience and your efforts to move forward. It's very difficult to move the bureaucracy, and I don't know if you'll be able to have the city council rescind those fees. This may be what we have to live with in the future. So I wish you well on your efforts to influence the opportunities in historic districts. As a member of the public, I'll tell you it's very difficult. It's something that you have to be on the inside to actually be able to make some sort of an influence on it. On the outside looking in, you're getting nowhere fast. I can only say that with 30 years of experience though, so maybe in the next 4 or 5 years, more experience, I might find that way to actually have an influence. So I wish you well on your new endeavor to try to have any kind of an influence on our governmental system here in Santa Rosa. All the best to you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. DeWitt.
Chair, if you could close public comment.
Chair Muser, can you close public comment? Close public comment.
Okay, I'd like to close public comment for item 5.
I have a question. I know I'm out of order. I'm going to resign as well, and I don't see any point in staying for this meeting, so I think I'll leave. Obviously, the city is not at all interested in the historic districts and maintaining them in any way, nor keeping any kind of design review for the historic districts. So I don't see any point in even listening to what you have to say today.
Okay, if you could please submit your formal letter of resignation to the city clerk. If you could please submit a formal letter of resignation to the city clerk. Thank you for your service. We're sorry to see you go. I understand you're making your resignation effective immediately.
I also will be resigning from this board. It no longer serves the purposes that I adhere to, and as a real estate professional, I just see nothing but chaos and bad things happening as a result of this, and I can no longer sit by and represent my neighborhood and represent the historic homes that I sell regularly and know that I am putting them under a really, and it's really disappointing that this was going on and that we were never ever told. We were never told. Excuse me. We sat and had meetings, and I gave up time, and we all gave up time to talk about getting rid of these fees so that it would make it easier for people to be able to do this, that it would make it easier for not having to beg for forgiveness, but to come before us and ask for our opinions. And this is just such an about-face and so against everything that I've ever served for the years that I've served on this board. I cannot go ahead and sell real estate in these districts and tell people that this is a great investment and this is a great place to do this because your home is going to be protected and taken care of, and it's not. And I'm so disappointed that nobody from the city ever told us that this study was taking place, that we were not consulted, and it's just really egregious. And I cannot participate. And I will send my resignation as well.
Okay, thank you also for your service. Is that, I'm understanding that your resignation is also effective immediately and you will be leaving this meeting? Okay, thank you.
Go ahead, Board Member Boren.
I don't want to take the time to repeat everything that everyone said, but I stand by all of the issues that have come up, and it doesn't make sense to continue to do what we do. Thank you. And I will send in a resignation.
Thank you. Is your resignation also effective immediately, or will you be staying for the meeting and submitting it tomorrow with Chair Muser? I need to ask for quorum purposes as well. If 3 of you are leaving, we will no longer have a quorum and the meeting will be adjourned for this evening.
Board Member Boren, are you resigning effective immediately?
Okay. Thank you also for your service. So, are there any more announcements? Otherwise, Chair will have to call this meeting adjourned.
Actually, I'm in the same boat. I'm standing behind Brian and his beliefs and what this neighborhood is and what it stands for and what our job supposedly is. I don't see how we can do our job in good faith. So I'm resigning as well. And I'll make sure you get a letter.
Okay. Also effective immediately. Thank you also for your service. I just met all of you. Are there any other announcements?
I'm the only one standing. Is there anything that can be done to alleviate those high costs, to make that more feasible?
We would have to go back and ask the council to revisit that. And I think we will be doing that, but I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. What I do know is that we will have to fill at least 4 of the seats, or three of the seats if you stay on, before we can process any other landmark alteration permits.
But at this point, I do have to note the meeting is adjourned as there is no longer a quorum. Thank you.